Hi, I'm Jenny Delfs. I'm one of the physicians at Sawtooth Mountain Clinic, and one of my interests and something I've been giving little community lectures on for years is about stress and the relaxation response and and some relaxation techniques to help us deal with stress in our lives. So I thought I'd do this for the website too and see how that worked. Stress is just part of life, and it's unavoidable, and it comes from lots of different sources. It comes from our jobs, and from our families, and from demands we put on ourselves. There's good stress and bad stress. Good stress is what makes our life exciting. It makes us find challenges and puts spice in our life. But bad stress is when it wears and tears on us. I kind of think about it with this rubber band. If we didn't have any stress in our life, it'd just be floppy and kind of useless. A little stress and tension, that's okay, but if we get too much, this rubber band will start to fray and tear or even shoot off into space. So we're going to look at ways to how stress affects our lives, and then ways that maybe we can respond to it differently so that it doesn't cause that wear and tear or cause us to shoot off into space. There's a hardwired response to stress in our bodies. If you can think about when we were still cavemen and running away from stressors like something that was going to eat us, like a bear, it was good that we had this stress response. Our bodies would have our heart rate go up and our breathing get faster, and we'd spend less time dealing with thinking. Everything would get very black and white very quickly, and we would be able to run, and we wouldn't have to worry about our bowels working. People talk about being so scared that they pee their pants. That's part of that that's part of the stress response. And the problem is our body can't tell the difference between the stressors we have in our life or running away from that bear that's trying to eat us. We have the same response. Now, when that was happening once or twice a day, when the bear was going to eat us, that was one thing. But it was happening all the time because the phone's ringing, or we have a deadline, or because our family wants us to do something, or we're worried about something, that starts to have effects on our health. And some of those effects are, it worsens high blood pressure, it worsens sleep. One of the stress hormones in our body, cortisol, makes our insulin resistance higher, and that makes it harder to lose weight, or can make, if you have a tendency to diabetes, make it worse. Some people, when they are stressed, their bowels don't work as well. We sometimes turn to things like drugs and alcohol to try to relieve stress, and that worsens addictions. Stress is part of pain. So all those are bad things. And since we can't get rid of stress, it'd be good to have some ways to maybe deal with stress in healthier ways. Our stress response is hardwired. What stresses you out might not be something that stresses me out, but it's also learned. So we can unlearn what we've learned and respond to stress in a better way. And one of the things that we have access to help deal with stress is our breathing. And those are the relaxation techniques that I've been teaching people. I mostly have been using things that I learned from this Andrew Weil guy, Dr. Andrew Weil. And the breathing techniques that I teach are mostly from this Master Key to Self-Healing from Andrew Weil. Breathing is unique in that we can't control some of the other parts of that stress response, but we can control our breath. We can't make our heart rate go slower, or make our water suddenly come to our mouth, or make our palms stop sweating, but we can slow down our breathing. And the magic thing that happens when you do that is that the rest of it responds. So if you sort of take that stress response, that fight or flight, or what we also call a sympathetic nervous reaction that is stress, and then you do the breathing that's in the other side, the relaxation response, the rest of it will follow. These breathing techniques, if practiced regularly, can help people switch out of the stress gear back into relaxation, and that is healing to our bodies and puts more balance and can add to your state of well-being and health. But like anything, you kind of have to practice it to get good at it. And I'm not saying that I do this all the time, but when I do, it's very helpful. And breathing techniques are only one way to get that relaxation response. Some people get it from physical activity like walking or running. Some people get it from doing something like knitting. The 4 elements that are part of that relaxation response are, you have to have something that you repeat, that you do on a regular basis, that you do in a quiet way. So watching TV doesn't count. And that you do with more of a passive attitude. You're not thinking, so you're sort of switching your brain out of that go mode, and you find a comfortable position to do that in. At this point, I'd like to demonstrate some of the breathing techniques that I've taught in the past, but I can't coach through this and do it, so I've asked Kristen DeRuda to help me. So she's going to come in. Hi, Kristen. Hi. So what's important first with breathing techniques is that you sit kind of with your back straight and get comfortable. We're going to use a quiet room where you can have, if you want, relaxing music. You can keep your eyes open or closed. I usually close mine. And you try to have no distractions, which means I hope we're at my house, so maybe Jeff and the kids will be fine. A lot of people, when they breathe, we try to keep our tummy tight, and you actually want to let your belly go in and out when you breathe. And so when you breathe in, your belly should go out, and when you breathe out, your belly should go in. That's because when you fill your lungs with air, your diaphragm goes down, and so your belly should go out. And when you breathe out, your diaphragm goes up, and so the belly should go in. So it's not something you want to push your belly in and out, but it's okay. Maybe even put your hand on your belly so you can feel that happen. Okay, the first technique that I usually teach is just observing your breath. So if you close your eyes and you simply follow the breath as it goes in and out of your lungs. Some people feel the breath more in their nose, or some people feel it more in their throat. But try to have a sense of where you feel your breath going in and out. Don't try to make it deeper or affect it in any way, but you're simply observing your breath going in and out. As you do this, try to release any tension that's in your neck or shoulders. And a lot of people carry tension in their jaw, so just trying to drop your jaw. That's a big one for people where we carry a lot of tension. It's hard to relax when I'm talking because of that. And as you will notice, it's very hard just to concentrate on your breath. It goes in and out, but your brain goes lots of different places. And if you notice that, just say, oh, there I went again, and come back to your breath. And you're not trying to influence it in any way, but just feeling your normal breathing pattern as the breath goes in, and you feel your belly go out, and then the breath goes out, belly goes in, and it's just an observation. And most people feel, even after just a minute or two of this, they feel a lot calmer. A minute or two can feel like a long time, but it's a teeny little portion of our lives. Usually when we are observing your breath, I had you start by taking the breath in and then out. And an interesting thing to do is start with the exhalation. Instead of starting with inhaling, you're going to start with exhaling. And then inhaling. And again, just observing, starting with the exhalation this time. Letting any tension in your neck or shoulders just drop away. A third technique, which kind of adds to this, is then as you're sitting and observing your breath, try to make each breath a little deeper, a little slower, and a little more regular. So it's the same. This time you're kind of changing what you're doing, not just watching your breath, but actually trying to make it slower and quieter so it's not making as much noise and more regular. With each breath you can do that. You can make it a little slower, a little deeper, a little quieter, and a little more regular. This is directly taking you from more stressful breathing, which is shallow and fast and sometimes noisy and jagged. Again, making each breath a little deeper, a little slower, a little quieter, and a little more regular. Now, if you're like me, sometimes just breathing is hard to keep your brain just on breathing. I have a busy brain that goes to lots of different places and all the things I have to do. So sometimes having something that helps focus your breathing. Sometimes I have people, you can use a candle and light it and watch the flame while you breathe, sort of as a way of keeping yourself out of your busy brain. That's one way. Because a flame has breath too. And sometimes a lot of things in the world have breath. There's a breath to the seasons, there's a breath to the oceans, there's a breath to plants and animals. Everything breathes. So sometimes when they do the candle one, there's a technique where you're thinking about the cosmos breathing you. So instead of you actively breathing, you're thinking about the world breathing you. Everything in the cosmos breathes, so it's an idea of instead of you actively breathing, it's more receiving what the cosmos gives you in terms of breath, just like the waves on Lake Superior or how the trees breathe. They don't think about it, they just breathe. So fourth technique is, and you could try looking at the flame this time as a way to do that. It's more a passive receiving the breath rather than actively breathing in and out. And a final technique, which is much more of a, shall we say, an assignment, but that has a beginning, middle, and an end rather than just the breathing, is a relaxation breathing technique that again comes from Dr. Andrew Weil, and it's called the 4-7-8 breath. And
the what?
4-7-8. It's a counting. It's a counting breath or something. Where you breathe in for 4 counts, and you can do your count however you want, and hold that breath for 7, and then you're releasing the breath for 8. It uses a special position of your tongue for this, where you put your tongue above the back teeth, above your front teeth, and not quite to the top of your palate, but someplace between where your teeth meet your palate and your upper palate. I think that technique comes from Indian yoga pranayama breathing kind of thing. So that's sort of a tongue lock. And you breathe in for 4, hold it for 7, and breathe out for 8. So I'll kind of do, and there should be kind of a noise when you breathe out for that 8. So I'll demonstrate. And we're going to breathe in for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That might have been a little slow. Yeah, might have been a little slow.
Practice.
Yeah, it's a practice thing, and you find what is comfortable for you. So sometimes breathing out that slowly is too much. It's too slow, so you do it a little faster. So
once you get the hang of it, it's more relaxing.
It's more
not
counting. Yeah.
Counting.
So we'll breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, Maybe I'll do a couple not counting. And if you get dizzy doing this, then you just stop and go back to your regular breathing. Certainly don't want anybody to get dizzy or lightheaded. But this specific counting breathing is really good if you're feeling very anxious, if something upsetting just happened, to try and get yourself out of that stress response back into more of a relaxation response. One of our things that our brain does when we go from stress response to relaxation response is we think clearer. So in a stressful situation, you sometimes want to think clearer and not not be in that black and white thinking, but thinking more expansively and creatively. So those are some of the 4 techniques. Observing your breath just as it is, beginning with an exhalation, breathing more deeply, more slowly, more quietly, more regularly, letting the cosmos breathe you, and then this relaxation breathing with a 4, 7, 8 count. The nice thing about breathing is we have to do it every day anyway, and it's free and it's always available. You don't need any special equipment to do that breathing technique. It's right there all the time. So you can do that, and in a few minutes, just 2 or 3 minutes, feel a lot calmer. And especially if you're aware that you're very tense, jaws tight, your shoulders are clenched, tummy's upset, feeling jittery, then that's a really easy thing to do that. And you have to breathe anyway, so why not do it in a helpful way? And so we can't change the fact that stress is in our lives, but we can change our reaction. And this relaxation technique is just one way to get from that more toxic stress response to a relaxation response that'll help us feel better.